yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off or get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your f***ing cloud, it be raining now. I keep making sound, go another round, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
Cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big boss, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase it? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise.
You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
What's going on, Titans Nation? Welcome to What's Shaking Titans. I am your host, Gary Bailey, and then joining me right over here, we got your co-host, we got Mr. Mass Ass himself, aka Andy Fitzpatrick, and then joining him right over there, we got Maxie, aka Mr. Blueface. So guys, man, what a win by the Tennessee Titans today against the Boston Bobcats there, guys. So, I mean, we got a lot to unpack for y'all here today. But, guys, before we get started here, if you're watching us live right now on YouTube, please take this time to hit the like button, as well as turn on all notifications to get the latest from What's Shaking Titans. And then if you're watching us live right now on Facebook, guys, we just want to take the time to thank each and every one of you. Definitely take the time to share us out to all your friends, to all your groups. The more you share us, the more people get to know about us. Sharing is caring. But guys, without any further ado, let's get this show off and rolling, man. So we're going to shoot this over to Maddox real quick. Maddox, man, what was your thoughts? You were there live at the game today. Man, what is your thoughts about this victory by the Tennessee Titans?
You're mute.
Yeah, he's muted.
You caught me.
Guilty.
Awesome experience, man. Once again, I always enjoy going to the Sun, being live at the game. But, totally different Titans team today. Totally different Titans team than what we've seen, all year. The defense came alive, man. The offensive line was, giving Tannehill time to, opening up holes for Henry. And, it all looked great out there. Everything looked like it was working today. It was cool. It was cool to watch in person, man. Especially this for the last 2-3 times I've been in Nashville. So being in person, this home victory against this team, man, and just knowing what that meant to us as a fan base was so cool and just, so exciting to see, man. It's great to see, the energy after the game. Everybody was super excited. They wanted to hang out in the parking lots and, continue to party and celebrate this victory. It's so hot out there, though, security and stuff inside, just trying to get somewhere where you can get inside, get some AC and stuff, especially after being outside all day for that game. Yeah, dude, the energy level here in Nashville right now is absolutely incredible, man. Had to step away from this. Yeah, dude, awesome, man.
Yeah, man, it was definitely an awesome game. Titans came out, they started fast, they played consistent, throughout all 4 quarters. Massey, man, we were talking back and forth throughout the whole game. What stood out to you this game, man?
Oh man! First of all, tighten up. Let's go. What a game. What stood out was the play calling and execution, just like we were talking about in all other podcasts. It was we seen the Titans coaching staff put their head together. We seen the offense click. Blocks were being made. Passes were being caught. Eventually Henry started getting downhill more and more. So. Execution, play calling and execution was great today, in my opinion.
Yeah, most definitely, man. You can definitely see play calling was on point. We kind of called this last week, or, technically yesterday. We called this during our podcast. One of the things I was saying is if you want to get Tannehill rolling, or if you want a Tannehill to look good, like a actual, NFL quarterback, then you have to get Derrick Henry involved in the game. You have to get Henry rolling, and you cannot pull Henry out because Tannehill rides off the back of Henry, and it's always been like that. And, of course, we've seen that kind of play out in this game. The 3 play-action passes that we've seen, back to back to back to back. We've seen that, and each time the defense would bite on Henry, and, of course, we had somebody screaming wide open. But yeah, hats off to Henry. Henry had a awesome game. Tannehill, definitely played good. There's some things that, I've noticed from Tannehill's game that, I hope is worked on and improved going forward. And, we'll definitely break that down as we continue further on in the podcast. But, for now, man, let's talk about the energy level that this Titans defense started out with. They came in this game, just hot and heavy, ready to play. Massey, what's your, or actually Maddox, what is your thoughts on the Titans defense here?
Oh man, that was that was the trendsetter for today. That was all of our momentum started with this defense, dude. I just mentioned it to you guys before you hopped on air, man. That sack that Alsh here in the first half put on Joe Burrow, dude. That hit was absolutely nasty. That was a vicious hit, dude. It felt good to see. Let me tell you, after all the stuff that we've been through this year, that felt real good to see, okay? Secondary played a lot better today, too, man. I'll give them credit where credit's due, man. They played a lot better today. Joe Burrow still did Joe Burrow things, but he wasn't as elusive and he wasn't as effective for the Bengals. So that was great, man. Great pressure again, man. The same thing we did to the Browns, we just executed better. And, I think that opened up a lot, man. We were able to get some turnovers and, get some big stops, man. That's exactly what we said last night, man. It's going to have to happen. We're going to have to get some stops. We're going to have to get some turnovers. And, dude, when you get turnovers, think you're just flipping the field back to your team, bro, and then you get the offense a short field. Get a field goal touchdown out of it, dude, that's fine with me. As long as we're putting up points off those turnovers, that's the biggest thing for me. Is if you get a turnover, you got to generate with it. We did that today. We executed well.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And then, guys, real quick, we're going to go to the comments. We got none other than Massass, brother over here, Stephen Massey, commenting on here. He said, the passing game opened up the run game. And then he also says that Gibson with the strip sack. So, yeah, we'll kind of break both of those comments down. So, real quick, let's talk about Gibson, man, because I thought that strip sack was beautiful. And, I think Gibson was a steal, bro. I talked about it since we signed him to this roster. Gibson, I think, would flourish under this defense, just with his speed, his power, the way he's able to just close gaps between. Sorry, I'm stuttering, guys. Close gaps between the O-line and the quarterback. I thought he would do really good, and we actually got to see that kind of pan out today. So that was awesome. I really loved that. And then as far as the passing game opened up the run game. Maddox, what is your thoughts on that? And then we'll shoot it over to Macy and let him give his answer as well.
I guess you could call it that way if you wanted to. I definitely feel like, it's a vice versa thing. In every offense we see, you're going to have to utilize the run to open up the play action game. That's what we did, man. We utilized what we know works. Derrick Henry works. He had 22 catches for over 100 yards. When Derrick Henry gets over 100 yards, guess what? We more than likely are going to win that game. It's proven fact. When you utilize your best player on the field, he can produce. We gave him 22 touches today, and he got over 100 yards for the touchdown. When you don't give him the ball and you don't give him time to create and you don't give him time to get going in the game, he's not going to be as productive as he wants. And that's what we've been seeing is the misuse of Henry, and I think they corrected that week. So that opened up a lot downfield. With the Chris Moore plays and the DeAndre Austin plays, you have to account for Henry again. He made his presence known today, and that made extra eyes go towards Henry, and that left stuff open in the pass game, and Tannehill was able to make those plays. So, all together, that just all gels in together, man. Tannehill played an effective game. He played a smart game up until the end when he threw that interception. But for the most part, bro, I think it's definitely the other way around. Like, the run game definitely opened up the pass game for Tannehill. Because you go back and look last week when the run game wasn't working, the pass game wasn't working.
Yeah.
Go back to week 3. Go back to week 1. I'm sorry. It's the same. The run game wasn't working. The pass game wasn't there. We have to utilize this. You both have been speaking it since last week. Like you guys got turned into Blueface using it too. So, just saying that, man. We have to utilize the king, man. And shout out to Derrick Henry, man. Shout out to Derrick Henry, man. It's a franchise record there.
Yeah, so he actually surpassed Errol Krempel. So he only has one player to pass. That's Eddie George, of course. Yeah. And I think he's only like, if I'm correct, he's only like 1,600 yards behind him now. I could be wrong. I have to kind of go pull up those numbers and really kind of check that out again.
I think that's close, yeah.
But yeah, I definitely have to kind of agree with you there, Maddox. If you go back, you look at week 1, the run game was non-existent, which means the pass game was non-existent. Week 2, we started utilizing Derrick Henry more, which opened up the play-action pass to Burks down the field for that 70-yard play, allowing him to make Tannehill look good. And then you go to week 3 where, it was just a crap show all over, by Derrick Henry, by Tajay Spears, by Tannehill, by the O-line, by Chig, by the defense. And then you look at this game, I have to agree with you once again. If we kind of break it down, there was the deep shot to D-Hop in the end zone where Tannehill just barely overthrew him. And then there was another pass shortly after that where Tannehill overthrew his receiver. But then we started getting Henry going. And then what did we see? We seen Ryan Tannehill's game kind of step up, We've seen his passes get tighter, more accurate, So definitely, I have to agree with you. I think that the run game opened up the pass game here. And so, real quick before I let Massey give his thoughts, let's go check out what his brother is saying in the comments right now. He was asking. He said, "Yeah, why has he been inactive?" I think he was only inactive, and this is referring back to Travis Gibson. I think he was only inactive last week because he was active the first 2 weeks, and he actually had 1 or 2 plays in the game, but he really kind of didn't do nothing. And then we actually seen him kind of flourish in this game, so I'm pretty sure that's the case. I'll have to really kind of go back and dig into that, and I'll definitely let y'all know on Saturday when we do our actual main episode. And then he said LOL, and he said stupid pick by Ryan, dumb throw. I agree, man, 100%. Like, I'm so absolutely fed up and just sick of seeing Tannehill just throw it straight into the chest of the opposing team's defense. Like, give me a break, Tannehill.
Yeah,
like, we seen that in the AFC Championship game, and now we're seeing it again. Like, come on, bro. Come on, man. Come on.
There's no point in that pass. At that point in the game, the game was over. There's no point in that. That was a tough play.
Yeah, and then he also says probably learning the stunt. So, yeah, I mean, that could be the case, too. So, all right, Massey, a.k.a. Andy Fitzpatrick right here, a.k.a. Mr. Anonymous. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think that the pass game opened up the run game, or do you think the run game definitely opened up the pass game?
Well, first of all, I want to shout out my brother. Appreciate you watching. What's up, bro? And also, really, it's both ways. We both of them complement each other, in my opinion. You're not going to have those good passes without having, Tannehill make the good passes. You're not going to have Henry getting those holes without making a couple of good play-action passes. They're expecting a pass, you run it, and he gets 10, 15 yards down the field. So in my opinion, both of them complement each other. So I wouldn't necessarily disagree with either one because, in my opinion, the Henry being on the field, I said it earlier, Henry being on the field absolutely helps the play action and Ryan Tannehill and the reads down the field. Henry not on the field, and obviously that opens up more plays and things like that. So I agree with both of y'all. It's a great take. I'm right in the middle with that one.
Yeah, man. And, one thing I want to kind of talk about since we're on the whole Tannehill, talk right now is the one thing that really caught my attention today in this game. And I'm going to let Maddox kind of talk about this. And then once again, we'll shoot it over to Massey. But the one thing that stood out to me was in this game, we seen a lot of one read pass. Those 3 play action passes that we seen from Tannehill was a one read play action pass where it was already predetermined. He knew where he was going with the ball, and he delivered it. It feels like the Titans kind of took the decision making out of the game for Tannehill, and I think that in a way that is kind of better for Tannehill because then he doesn't have that much on his shoulders. But at the same time, if I'm evaluating the quarterback position, I don't know if I can sit here and say, okay, well, this would be considered a bounce back game from Tannehill just due to those. I mean, I think there is all but maybe 1 or 2 passes where Tannehill did not go through his progression. So, Maddox, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, dude, I agree with you 100% on that. I feel like it's a lot of the play call that we were seeing from Malik last year, where he wasn't, the main guy. It was all, run the offense to Derrick Henry. We're going to give you a couple pass plays here and there. And, you connect short. There's going to be a deep route, whatever it is, But I definitely feel like everything's been predetermined for him now, where he's just, he's almost forced to play a smart game. He's almost forced to play that effective, style of football that he can play. But we just have to, capitalize on mistakes and stuff like that from the other side of the ball, man. When our defense gets those turnovers and stuff, man, we have to be able to put it in the end zone. We have to put up a couple of turnovers. And, I think a lot of that comes down to, just like I've been saying, man, put the offense through it like we have to. I think we've seen again today. I think this was, like you said, this wasn't a bounce-back game for Tannehill just because of that stuff. But I think that this was a bounce-back game for Henry. Coming off of a terrible, terrible week last week, one of his worst game, I think, ever. High school, college, or pro. I think that was probably Derrick Henry's worst game ever in his football career against the Cleveland Browns. So I definitely think this was a bounce-back game for Henry more so than it was for Henry. I say that next week will probably be Tannehill's bounce-back game if he has one. Divisional opponent, the Colts have a very strong defense, so that's more so what I'm leaning on for a bounce-back game for Tannehill. I think that's more so weight on Henry than anything today.
Yeah, and then, you're bringing up some good points there, and I want to kind of touch on that real quick, and then we'll shoot it once again over to Massey here. You were talking about, I really just, like I said, I really cannot consider this a bounce-back game from Tannehill just because, if you go back and you watch, last year and the 3 games that Malik Willis had, this is it felt very similar to the type of play calls, like one read pass, get rid of the ball type stuff. And Tannehill being a 12-year vet should be way beyond that. He should be out there changing plays at the line of scrimmage, being able to turn his head, go, okay, well, this guy's covered, this guy's covered, this guy's covered, let me go back, this guy's covered, oh, this guy's open, boom, and we're really not kind of getting that from him this year at all. I do hope that maybe he can kind of swap that around, and maybe we can kind of see him kind of get back to the old Tannehill we knew. So real quick, I'm going to go into the comments once again. We got Massey's brother who says in the first quarter and half of the second, Henry wasn't really swinging much, but then Tanny hit some deep balls off of PlayStation. I think he meant play action there, which is the bonus of Henry, but Henry didn't get any chunk runs until after. So, when we talk about the running game setting up the passing game, it is literally, if you kind of go back and you watch our podcast from yesterday, we talked about the Henry effect. Just having Henry on the field, and it shifts that defense, because then that defense is no longer focused on Tannehill. It's no longer, focused on D-Hop. It's focused on Henry. And, if you put Tajay Spears in any of those play action plays that we had, it wouldn't have done nothing. Like, the defense wouldn't have bit. But the second they put Henry in, what happened? That defense stacked 9 in the box, and they were going for Henry. And we did it, 3 times in a row? And literally all 3 times they bit on Henry back to back to back. That right there goes to prove that there's a Henry effect. So technically speaking, the run game did set up that pass game for Tannehill. And that's kind of like what we're talking about right here. And then he also says... he said, I wouldn't mind seeing the other QBs play. Prefer Levis, though. Malik also threw picks in the preseason. I imagine starters, he'd continue that. But Ryan's regression, Ryan is regressing quickly. So, yeah, we're definitely seeing some regression from Tannehill. One thing that kind of stuck out to me, guys? That was how come Tannehill is like a statue in the pocket? But then the man can dart downfield to try and be a lead blocker for Tajay Spears. Does that make any sense, guys? I'm like, I was just like, come on, bro, and you missed the guy you were supposed to block anyway. Come on, Tannehill, Lord. But yeah, go ahead, Massey, take it away, brother.
I was gonna say I'll go ahead and throw my take in on it. I agree. Like I said earlier, Henry definitely does affect that, but that's where the play calling and the execution comes in. You know what I'm saying? Tannehill is the one that made those throws. He's the one that dotted those passes to D-Hop and then Westbrook Akine and all those down the field and things like that. But I agree with y'all. Henry does open up the play calling for this offense. We have to be the ones to call the right ones and execute that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said on my brother's comments and both of y'all's takes as well, is that I'm right in the middle. We all compliment off of the same thing. Tannehill's got to compliment off of Henry, vice versa. The O-line needs to compliment off of the receivers and vice versa. You know what I mean? Defense needs to feed off of the dumb referee calls and you know what I mean? Things like that. There's a whole bunch of different reasons for the team to go in there and just execute and play better, and I feel like that had a lot to do with us winning today. We took that ass whooping from the Browns game, and we come into this game like we're not going to do that again. Let's carry on this momentum for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
flipped it on them, man.
Yeah, we literally, we it was like last week's game, but in reverse all over again, bro. So
exactly.
I'll say this, man, to kind of comment on what you're saying there. I honestly, if you ask my personal opinion, if we had Malik Willis in there and or Will Levis, I think we get the same type of level of production in this game that we had with Tannehill. And the only reason why I'm saying that is just because of the simple fact that it was such a simplistic offense, And, let's be honest, Tannehill had some play calls in this game. There is one, and he's lucky. And and even the commentaries said at one point, I don't understand whether if this is luck or just pure skill. Most likely it's luck. But, I'll say this, like, there are some plays in there that just made me as a fan and as somebody who watches the quarterback position thoroughly, is like, why is Tannehill making these decisions? Like, he forced the ball triple coverage to D-Hop. Luckily, this time D-Hop came down with it, And then one of those passes, I think it was the pass into the end zone to D-Hop. It might have been, no, it was the pass right after that where he overthrew his receiver. If the receiver hadn't have tipped that ball, it would have went right into the hands of the Bengals defense, So that, once again, Tannehill, has shown some struggles here. But, again, Tannehill had some nice passes in this game. So, tip of the hat to him. But do I think this was a bounce-back game for Tannehill? No. I think this Bengals defense did not come to play. And I'll go back to what I said against the Chargers, and I'll stick to it. Is, the only way you're going to tell if Tannehill has a bounce-back game is when he's facing a top-tier defense, For some reason, this Bengals team did not come to play against us today. Their defense was lackluster. The coach, their play calling was just, head scratching at times. Like, just like we say about using Henry. That was a key to victory for me, yesterday was we got to use Henry. They got to use Joe Nixon, because Nixon, let's be honest, Nixon started out tearing us a new a-hole in this game. That first drive by the Bengals, bro, if they would have kept that going, I guarantee you it'd be a whole different story, a whole different outcome. But it's like they watched our offensive game plan against the Browns, and they're like, hey, let's go copy that. And, sure enough, man, like Nixon would have a couple good plays, and then they pull them. And it's just like, what are they thinking, So I can't really say that until we really start facing some of these more top-tier defenses. And, of course, the Bengals have a good defense. But, like I said, they have to come play. And the Bengals didn't come play. So let's go into our comments once again. Here we got Stephen Macy, a.k.a. Mr. Andy Fitzpatrick's brother here. He says, Spears averaging 8 yards a total, though, look better than Henry. His vision is on point. So, yeah, I mean, Spears might be averaging more yards per play, but the thing is when you look at how it affects the defense or the play calling from the other side is, yeah, Spears is averaging all these things, but there's no teams that are afraid of Spears. They're going to let him rip off these 8-10 yard runs every now and then. But, when it comes to Henry, they're moving their whole defense in the box to try and sell out to stop him because they know that all it takes is one good stiff arm and Henry's taking it to the house. And we've seen that, We've seen Henry take off to the left side of the offensive line, deliver a stiff arm, and take it to the house, So that would be my only feedback. But, yeah, hats off to Spears. Spears had a good day, too. I'll say this. Henry finished the game, I think it was 22 attempts for 106 yards. We have to give respect where respect's due when it comes to that because Henry definitely balled out. And then he also says the new NWI OPI would have been a pick. Yeah. I guess, yeah, I could see that. And, man, I want to say this about NWI and Chris Moore. I mean, what a coming out they've had over these last 2 weeks. That it hasn't been like, wow, spectacular, but these guys have definitely got out there and showed that they're they're a good part of this team. So
next man up.
Yeah, definitely next man up. So Massey, man, what's your thoughts on NWI and Colton Doll? Or whatever his name is, Chris Moore. Chris Moore. I choked on that one, bro.
Yeah, definitely. Next man up mentality, 100%. That's what Vrabel brings into this organization. Next man up. Like we were talking about it earlier. Westbrook Akine, he's been he's been getting those like low key. I just found the end zone and the ball in my hands touchdowns. Yeah, obviously he's making good decisions by looking at the zones. These are the things that I've been talking about in our last couple of podcasts. Is that your decision making right there in the moment during the game? That's what's going to count for every play that happens, and the one after that, and the one after that. So once you get a good momentum going, you got to carry that thing on. So those big plays down to Chris Moore, like we've seen. What I think is it all 4 games? All 4? Is it 3
in a row?
So all three games, the last 3 games that we've seen from the Titans, we've seen Chris Moore get a deep ball and catch it. Never even bobble it, nothing like that. He secures the ball and everything.
Explosive.
So yeah, and then we've seen Westbrook Akina in the end zone 2 or 3 times. You know what I'm saying? In the last 2 or 3. So, definitely like a secret. 2 secret weapons, I guess you could say, because everybody's always looking over there at D-Hop. Traylon Burks, he's also a weapon when he's playing. Chig is also, a weapon. These are the packages and things that we talk about all the time. So, when NWI and Chris Moore when they get put in the right situations, they definitely make big plays.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let Maxie give his opinion here. Bro, so he just brought up Traylon Burks and being a weapon. In my opinion, and I kind of agree with what Ryan Harris from the Jump Pass podcast said yesterday on our podcast. In order for them to be a legit weapon on this team, they have to stay healthy. I mean, if you're going out, every other game with an injury, then you're not a legit weapon to this Titans offense, So what's your thoughts on that? Do you think Traylon Burks could be a legit weapon? Do you think he is a legit weapon? Or do you think it's just, he's a decent wide receiver, who just unfortunately continues to get hurt?
I think that last part you just said there, bro, I think that just, puts it all into, a big basket, bro. Just staying healthy. That's a lot of our problems on our team. We've seen that, multiple years in a row now, man. It's people staying healthy. We can't get guys to stay on the field, for anything. So I think if Traylon Burks stays healthy, if he can get back healthy, man, if stay healthy, excuse me. A big part of that is just, like I said, man, just keeping guys healthy, man. And to go back to the Henry effect thing, man, on that Wildcat formation, the Bengals tried to call a timeout to stop that, switch up the defense and stuff, and we still came out in the Wildcat formation. And that just that alone, bro, should show you, man, how much Henry's presence means, on the field, man. Like him and Wildcat, you don't know what Henry's going to do, and he ended up throwing a touchdown. He didn't run it, threw it in.
Talk about it, bro.
I'm sorry, but if I am correct, who caught the ball?
It was Wiley, if I'm correct.
Wiley. It was one of the tight ends.
Yeah, it was Josh Wiley because Chig didn't get a touchdown in this game.
Right. I've heard a lot of bad about Josh Wiley, but he showed up right there, man. A lot of guys showed up. There's multiple guys in big plays for those different spots. Defense, offense, special teams guys. Mason Kinsey, man. How about that punt return earlier, man? Mason Kinsey, good return on punt. He was fired up, man. After that, man. He was ready to go, man. I love to see smaller guys on the field. So that was super cool to see that fire from him too. And like I said, man, it's just about guys stepping up, man, when guys are hurt. And I think that's what you've seen from, Nick Westbrook and Chris Moore today, with the absence of Traylon Burks. They knew they had to be in sync with Tannehill in the offense, and they did exactly that today, man.
Yeah, definitely. We got to see, a lot from a lot of different players. Hats off to Chig as well, because Chig had some really nice catches, no drops this game. So I was really proud of him seeing that. Like I said earlier, Chig didn't get, a touchdown. It was Josh Wiley. But, hats off to Chig for having that kind of bounce-back game. And if I say anybody had a bounce-back game, I'd have to give that honors to Chig for sure. And then to kind of also, touch on some things here. Cal Phillips, you're right, bro. Not Cal Phillips, but Mason Kinsey, man. Mason Kinsey, I mean, what a play by Mason Kinsey to see that level of return from him. The question is as Steven brings up in our comments right here, He says Cal Phillips is back next week and NPF. So with Cal Phillips returning, do you think we keep Mason Kinsey on the 53? I have to say, just for the simple fact of being productive on the special teams, yeah, keep him on there. Because what have we seen through 2 years so far from Cal Phillips is there's only one thing is that's he'll get in 1 or 2 games and then he goes out injured. But with Mason Kinsey, we were seeing some consistency strung together here. So, yeah, do what, bro?
Get it out now.
Right.
Get it out.
Stumbling over the words here, fellers.
Guilty.
Guilty. I did it. Yeah, last night, Mr. Anonymous over here with that massage oil, that he borrowed from Deshaun Watson, maybe that's rubbing off on me and how I'm speaking right now. It's throwing me way off. So. But anyway, guys, it was definitely a really good game to watch by the Titans. Once again, I don't think this is a game that we should dwell on and say, hey, this is for sure a bounce back. The Titans have figured everything out.
Why would you dwell on it?
Well, a lot of people will dwell and sit here and like, okay, well, you see what the Titans did against the Bengals. We're going to the Super Bowl. No, that's far-fetched, man. That's way out there. Like if I hear any of that and anywhere, I'm going to lose my mind because first of all, this Bengals team did not come to play. Like literally, we saw worse.
Hey.
The Bengals were worse than the Chargers, and I'm just being straight up honest.
The Bengals fans said they was going to Super Bowl.
Nah, they sure did, didn't
That's what they was telling me on. That's what they were telling me on their way out the door, bro. They was going to the Super Bowl. I said, all right, I guess we'll see you guys there.
Yeah. Well,
it's just a harsh take or not a harsh take. That's a hard take for me to take because like they didn't go and play like a good game. It wasn't like 27-24 or anything. I feel like they were doing their best to show up and try. I take it as almost like a demeaning, like the Titans didn't play all that great, just the Bengals didn't show up and play good. You know what I mean? But I agree. I can agree with your take on that. But I'm just saying, like, I disagree with the part that
the part, bro.
about the Bengals not exactly showing up. More so, the Titans definitely played their asses off. And our defense was on one today. They were revamped. You could feel what Jeff said. His comment that don't worry, everything's gonna be all right. Everything was all right, man. That defense came to play for sure. So that was my take on that.
Yeah, most definitely the defense definitely came and played. They had a high level of energy from start to finish. But to kind of go and to cap on what you were saying just then, you were saying you really couldn't, get on board with what I was saying about the Bengals didn't come to play. Well, you go back and you watch last week's game. What did we see from that Bengals defense? They balled out. And if you're going to sit here and tell me that this O-line, did this good against that same defense, man, I'm not buying it one bit. That defense struggled. That defense struggled. They struggled to get pressure. And then you seen when they kind of start to put pieces together and they were figuring out play calls to use against us. What happened? Tannehill was getting sacked. He was getting sacked. They were getting pressure on him. And I'll just say this, man, and I'll be honest, we were lucky to get out of that game, with as few sacks as we did, because there are a few times where the Bengals defense could have really tore us up. That pass I was talking about from Tannehill earlier, where, the commentary's like, is this luck or is this, just pure skills? They say, like, well, we're going to err on the side of luck here. Tannehill threaded it, just barely missed 2 defenders' arms. Barely. And so what I mean by that is like this Bengals team, we've seen a better performance from this defense and definitely their secondary,
Yeah, it's just hard for me to think that, to agree with what could have been versus what we've seen, what actually happened. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you go, all right, that's like saying, okay, you take week 3 performance against the Browns and then week 2 performance. Just because we balled out in week 2, do you honestly think that going in and facing the Browns, it's an automatic win? No.
Right.
You know, you can't think that. Why? Because, you know, look at how good the Browns defense has been, you know, from week 1 into week 2, and then when we faced them week 3. So that's kind of like my point on all that, you know, is like
sure.
each team, even the Titans, like we had a good week 2, but then we had a terrible week 3, you know.
Right.
So, you know, we didn't come to play last week against the Browns.
Right.
I honestly think we could have played a lot better than what we did against the Browns, you know, but we didn't. So,
Sure.
so that's what I mean by that. Is there's some weeks in the NFL where these teams just don't. They're not there. They're not focused right, or they're not playing at, you know, the same type of level, you know, as everybody else. You know, it can be anything that's causing that. But you know, that's kind of my take on that. And then real quick, guys, let's go back to our comments here. We got Pongo baby here says pass game is improving. Titans were predictable with the run game. They switched up the routine and got results. So yeah, but also, you know, it's that predictability that set us up for the win, man. Like I have to say that. Like Henry. I don't care if it's run pass anymore. At this point, we have to utilize Henry. I don't care if it's predictable, because why? That predictability got us results in the play action plays. It got us results, man. You know, and to your credit, yeah, we didn't really kind of go out there and we're ripping off big chunk yardage, you know, in the run game right before that. But just to have that Henry effect in that game, you know, I mean, if you won't, I mean, I'm just saying, if you as a Titan fans really think that, hey, we're better off, you know, not utilizing Henry and implementing Spears and, you know, focusing more on the passing game, go right ahead and see how far that gets us, because this offense is not built for a pass-first offense. Yeah, we're trying to shift the mentality of how we look at this team, but, you know, honestly, we don't have all the pieces for that yet. We still got a lot of adding to this team to do before we're a legit solid pass first, you know, offense. We are still a run first and let the run open up the passing game, you know. As long as we have Tannehill as our starting quarterback and Henry as our running back, that's how it's going to be. I'll go out on a limb, and y'all can attack me all you want here, but I'll go out on a limb and I'll say this. You know, Tannehill is not a pass-first quarterback. He has to have the running game in order to go out here and put up any sort of production. You know, how many times have we seen Tannehill try and win the game off of his arm alone with no running game? You know, how many times have we seen that? Go back to the playoffs, you know, when we faced Kansas City. What happened to that in that game? Derrick Henry got shut down. There's no run game evident for us. Tannehill had to start forcing the pass. Did we win that game? No, we weren't even nowhere near it. Then you go back into when we faced Cincinnati. You know, what happened in that game? You know, they tried to focus on Tannehill more than they did the run game. And what happened? We lost that game. And that was a game we should have won. 9 sacks? Are you kidding me? 9 sacks. And the very first play Tannehill goes makes is an interception. And right in the middle of the game, another interception. And then to end the game, a third interception?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be too harsh on Tannehill, but Tannehill is not a pass-first quarterback. He's not no Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Eli Manning. He's not none of these quarterbacks. He has to have that run game in order to produce. So what's y'all's thoughts on that? And then we'll kind of go into talking defense here.
Yeah, I mean, look at the system he's in. You know, that's personnel. That's the system he's put in. If you got Derrick Henry back there, you're gonna have your quarterback, no matter who it is, giving the ball to Henry if that's what's making sense during the game. You know what I'm saying? So as far as play calling and personnel, he's definitely not a pass first quarterback, because that's not the system that he was implemented into.
But was he in Miami?
I'm not sure, but my thing with that is too is that that's I see that as a problem for us because we try to rely on the run first. When run don't work, then we panic and throw it, leave it in the hands of Tannehill, and then obviously we've seen he's not all that great at decision making. You know what I'm saying? So like that's like the situation we put ourselves into. You know what I mean? You go into it as a. That's probably what got us in the Browns game. He had 20 yards. You went into that game thinking, oh, we can just run Henry down the field. We're going to be all right. And then when that didn't work, you're panicking throwing the ball. You know, thank God there wasn't no interceptions in the Browns game.
Yeah, well,
it's the misutilization for me, bro. That's the biggest thing with me with Henry. It's like you have to keep giving him the ball. Today he had 22 carries. Last week he had 11. You know, like you have to go back and forth with it. Except that, like, if you take Derrick Henry's stats out of the game, it's a 7 to 3 to 10 game. It's a lot closer to the
Yeah.
I think if we would have just had Tajay Spears in there, that it's that effective of a win for us. No. Do I think that we still win? Maybe, probably because we were effective in the pass game on play action. Chris Moore, Nick Westbrook, like we said, played a great game. D-Hop had some great catches. Sig had some great catches. Like that was probably the bright spot of the game. Watching all these guys actually make the grab. Drop balls like Chigga Conquo and stuff like that. So much this season we've seen him just drop pass after pass. But today, he was catching the balls, and I think that's a lot of it, man. We have to have Henry, bro. Like, at the end of the day, like, we have to have Henry in there. And, you don't utilize Henry, you get the Browns game or you get the Saints game. That's what you're going to get. Or you're going to get the Kansas City Chiefs game back in the AFC Championship.
Talk about it.
I mean, it's not me hating Tannehill. That I would love for Tannehill to be this great, successful quarterback for us, take us to the promised land, hoist the Lombardi, on Broadway, big old party. I'd love to see it, but I don't feel like he can get us there unless we have Derrick Henry. Unless we're utilizing Derrick Henry, that's the only way I think we get there. With those two back to back, I'll say that. With those two in the backfield, they have to feature each other.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And the kind of look, there he goes, slipping in here again. Got that massage oil all over him, just like, ooh. So, all right, guys. Before I get into the comments here, want to bring up, kind of touch on some things that both of y'all brought up and said. To start out with what Mr. Massass here was talking about in the pass game, against the Browns is. Yeah, Henry had 20 yards. Okay, what did we see from the coaches? How come Henry wasn't more productive in that game? It was because when Derrick Henry would rip off a 9-yard rushing play, Tim Kelly pulled him off the field. And you cannot do that. That is not the type of player Derrick Henry is. Derrick Henry needs to be in that game because the longer he's in that game, the better he starts playing, the more consistent he gets, the stronger he gets as the game goes on. Go back and you look at Titans history since we've had Derrick Henry, and that's how it's been. You can't just put him in for a play, pull him out for 2 plays, and then put him in for a play and then pull him out for 10 plays, and expect Tannehill to get out here or Henry to get out here and ball out. That's not the type of play style that Henry is. I said this about our quarterbacks when I referred to Marcus Mariota, and also when I'm talking about Malik Willis. Is these are both mobile quarterbacks who are being forced to change up how they play. You've got to let these players be themselves, because when you start forcing them to be somebody else, then you're taking away from their best attributes to this team.
Yes.
And Henry's best attribute to this team is being on that field consistently. You go back to that Cleveland Brown game. The reason we lost that game is because Henry was not on that field consistently. Do I think if they would have kept Henry on that field that it would have been a completely different game for Henry, his stats-wise and all that stuff? Yes, 100%. I believe that. Look at week 1. They did the same thing week 1. We lost by 1 point, And then you go to week 2. They shifted that. They kept Henry on the field for a little bit more. And, we barely won that game in overtime. Then you go to week 3, and they went back to the same type of game plan we had week 1, you know, and Henry was barely used. And then when he did have a productive play, we were pulling him out, you know. And what happened? We lost. And then you go and you look at today's game. Today's game, we kept Henry on the field, and Henry balled out. And because of Henry balling out, it literally opened that. I mean, like I said, you look at those 3 play-action pass games. You put Tajay Spears in there instead of Henry, and not a single one of them would have been even open. Because the defense would not, you know, the defense would not have bitten on that play like they would have bitten for Henry. And
how do you know that for sure, though?
Because we seen it. You go back in week 2. Week 2, we had Tajay Spears in for a couple play action plays, and you know what? They only had 4 on the line. 4 on the line. That means they're not afraid of Tajay Spears. We put Henry in, and it doesn't matter if it's a run play, play action play, just a normal pass play. You will see there's 8 to 9 people, if not more, in the box every single time. That's how you know. You go back and you look at what they've already shown us, what the NFL, you know, other NFL organizations have shown us when they face us. They are selling out to stop Henry, because Henry is literally, if not the best, one of the best running backs in the NFL right now.
The best.
Yeah. So that's just, you know, my thoughts. And then to kind of, you go and we're talking about Tannehill and his performance as a Dolphin. You know, there's a reason the Dolphins decided, hey, we're cutting ties with him and we're going to trade him. It was because when they lost that reliable running game, guess what? Tannehill was not able to produce properly. Tannehill has always, even as a Dolphin, had to have a running game to get him going, you know? And it just, I mean, it's just how it is. It's nothing against Tannehill. I mean, you have different quarterbacks who play differently, and Tannehill is a quarterback that has to have that running game. So before we kind of continue here, let's go back up into our comments. We're getting a lot of comments here, guys. So,
yeah, there's a lot in there, bro.
Yeah, we're kind of getting away here, so I'm gonna try and make sure I grab everybody here. So if I miss y'all, I do apologize, but we're gonna try and do it. He said the Titans defense. This is your brother. He says the Titans defense cost us that game against the Chiefs. And the Bengals game was Tannehill and Todd Downing's dumb play calls. And then you got your girlfriend in here. She said, I personally think that the Titans played their A-word off today. Mr. Anonymous girlfriend here. I love that. Let's go. She needs to get on here more often. Yeah, Mr. Anonymous. You know he has a second name, and it's Andy Fitzpatrick. So there you go. We got Mr. Anonymous and Andy Fitzpatrick.
Don't call me Colette.
And then we got Pongo here. Pongo says Henry is a benefit to a point, but when we rely on Henry, especially since his return from his injury, it hasn't paid off. But when they use other running backs and use the receivers, they are getting. Only thing I gotta say to that, man, is like, what games have you been watching? When Henry came back, you know, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but when Henry came back from injury, I'm just saying, like, Henry is a presence. You know, you go back and watch last year, you know, Henry's the reason why, and like I said, we lost 7 straight. But you go back and you look at our record, we were literally, with an exception of 4 games, 4 games, we were a 1-point or a 1-score game in all of those games. And Henry was the main factor to all of that. It wasn't Tannehill. It wasn't Malik. It certainly, sure, the spitting F word wasn't Josh Dobbs. You know, so I had to completely disagree with that take. And then, you know, they also said results. Henry is a short of a distraction at this point with 1 or 2 good runs. Man, come on.
No, I mean, but I agree with you, but with that being said, we can't contradict ourselves on it being 11 men on each side of the ball, even including special teams. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to pinpoint
Definitely our
Just
special teams.
just Tannehill being, a bad quarterback and costing us a game, or Henry being a bad running back in a game and costing us the whole game. We got to account for all 11 players on offense, defense, and special teams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that being said, like I was referring to earlier, we are executing from counteracting what they think we're going to do. We're using that personnel. We're using those key players to counteract what that defense is looking like. Oh, they see a run right here, play action, D-Hop down the field. They see a run right here, play action, Chris Moore down the field. You know what I'm saying? Play calling, execution, it can't just be put on one or two players on each side of the ball.
So I haven't heard nothing about that O-line today.
Talk about it.
They blocked. They did their job.
Have they been doing their job?
They did it today, though. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, what I'm saying, can we say that, can we say that they haven't been doing their job? I mean, it's the same guys. It's the same guys from last week. It's the same guys from week 2.
You could say this. Tannehill's in that same conversation, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Did the O-line block good today? Did Tannehill play good today? You know what I mean? I get your point too. It's very similar.
I just don't think as much of it weighs on the O-line as what we thought. What all we've gone into, trying to throw the mention stats. A lot of it has to weigh on the decision. I think it's all that decision making and him being a one-read type of guy. Me and Matt watched a bunch of film, and a lot of times, on certain plays, Tannehill would look one way and he would stick that direction, and it's like, bro, what are you doing? That's not there. That play's dead. Me and him were both screaming at highlights. Dude, what are you doing, bro? It's obviously not going to change anything, but we're both bro, sometimes you have to, look for the check down, or Massey's been screaming, bro, change the play yourself, bro. Make the adjustment yourself.
Yes.
I think a lot of today was just, getting the ball out quick, man, quick plays, and just seeing, how well that we could actually utilize that. I think that today, we just made the better decisions for the Browns.
Absolutely. Bengals.
Same division.
Same thing.
Yeah, and then, to kind of go back to our comments, I just had one pulled up. It was also Pongo who said, how many 100 yards games has Henry had since he's returned? So if you go back, at least 6 of the last 7 games that we lost, Henry rushed for over 100 yards. And it was the first time that we've ever seen us lose consistently with Henry getting over 100 yards. Henry literally put this offense on his shoulders, last year and carried us. So that's kind of to that comment. And then to bring out what, kind of touch on what Massey was talking about. Yeah, NFL game is played between 53 players, 11 players on each side of the ball. It takes all 11. So I'll say this, though, in regards to all that, when it comes to having superstars, because there's not a lot of superstars in the NFL. You got Patrick Mahomes, you got Derrick Henry, you got, former Tom Brady. I mean, you got all these, forms of superstars. You look at our roster, do you tell me that Tannehill's a superstar? D-Hop, is he performing at a superstar level? Are any of these other players, is our O-line a superstar O-line? No, we literally have one piece left, and that's Derrick Henry. And all I'm saying is, yeah, Derrick Henry might not be producing at the level we've seen him produce, in years past. But the one thing that is affecting these games and whether or not we win or lose is the Henry effect. Like I said, when Henry's on that field, the defense is biting every single time. When we have Tajay Spears in, and this is the whole reason why Spears is having more production than Henry with yards after with rushing yards, is because when we have Spears in the backfield, they're playing it as a pass. They don't care. They're going to allow him to rush for 5, 10, 15 yards. They're not selling out to stop Spears. But every time Henry is in that play, they are selling out to stop Henry. And that's why the play action is working so well for us, you know. So guys, but anyway, let's kind of get off that topic. You know, I'm not trying to bang anybody upside the head here. Couple other quick comments here. We got Bryce on the Bryson Haley show. He says, "Send me the link, brother." Man, I would, but we're definitely kind of full. I can only have up to 3 people on at once, so we'll definitely have to get you on here soon, man. I do apologize for that. And then your brother said Henry isn't a superstar this year either. Yeah, I'd have to definitely, I definitely see that. I see where you're coming from with that, you know. But what I'm saying is that Henry being a superstar in this league, coming from, you know, 2019, 2020, 2021, you know, 2022, what he played in 2022, and then 2023, you know, so far this year, they're respecting this man on defense. They respect Henry so much on defense that they are selling out every time Henry takes the field. So that's my take. So anyway, guys, we gotta kind of speed this show up real quick. Let's talk about the Titans defense. Maddox, man, what's your thoughts on the Titans defense? Who stood out the most to you this game?
Man, honestly, just, you know, our play in the secondary, man, our coverage, you know, today was a lot better than, you know, what we've seen in past weeks. Of course, you know, we didn't allow any touchdowns, you know, so that was great. You know, defense did a great job with that, man. You know, just really utilizing, you know, every, you know, advantage that we had, I feel like, is what, you know, our defense was able to do. You know, we knew Joe Burrow had the calf injuries, so, you know, we knew he was going to be, you know, less mobile today, and we were able to, you know, act on that, you know, bring Burrow down, you know, several times in the pocket, you know, get a lot of pressure on him, force bad throws. You know, there's one that I swore was a fumble, but for some reason the refs still say it was a forward pass. Again, for another, you know, week, you know, Titans forward pass.
Talk about it, man.
If we do it,
terrible.
If we do it, it's a fumble. Tannehill would have done that, it would have been a fumble. I'm just saying. That's all I'm going to say. But, yeah, man, I think the defense played well to their advantage.
Sorry, I got mad. The refs really make me really mad.
Bro, you sounded like a little 5-year-old just then. Give me my tablet back. You made me really mad, Daddy.
Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, bro.
No, dude, you're good, bro. That was funny, man. But I definitely feel you, bro. Like, that's frustrating, you know. We've seen it in the Saints game, you know, the fumble in the Saints game, and, you know, we've seen it in the Browns game, bro. Like, you know, we keep getting these calls, and we're like, yo, how is this possible, you know? Because if it's on us, you know, it seems like it's flipped the other way. But back to the defense, man, that's my biggest key for us, man. It stood out to me. I feel like we played well to our advantage. We knew we had an advantage over Joe Burrow, and we utilized that, man, to shut him down.
Yep.
I agree too, man.
100%. Hey.
So I do want to kind of bring up, and I know I wasn't going to do this. I wasn't going to go back to what we were talking about, but you know, I do want to bring up something your brother said, and it's a really good point. So he said, bro, he's normally not a week 1 through 4, and this is talking about Henry. You know, he said, bro, he's normally not a week 1 through 4 running back. 100%. That is a perfect point. And then he also said he turns up after week 4. Yes, talk about it, bro. Like that is what I'm saying, you know. But we also have to respect what Henry has done, because what Henry has done in the years past is what keeps, you know, Tannehill in this game today. These play action passes, this defense selling out to stop Henry. You know, that's what kept us going. That's what really, I mean, bro, like I said, you go back to week 2, look at the play action pass, you know, that we tried to do off of Tajay Spears. It was nothing there. Nothing. Then we turn around, put Henry in it, and the whole defense went over here to stop Henry. Tannehill screamed, like, wide open down the field. I mean, you know.
Yeah, you got to respect, man. Respect his presence. If he's on the field, you better be knowing that somehow, some way, they're going to try and get the ball to him.
Yeah, you better account for it at all times.
Yep.
For it, for sure.
And that's supposed to be the same key with D-Hop. and even maybe even Traylon Burks in the future. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to have that kind of respect for them. Like, oh, I'm not going to play easy on them because anything could happen. You know what I mean? Like, no, if Derrick Henry's in that game as a defense, you better respect him, or he's putting 100 on your ass. I'm sorry. That word, but you know.
No, you're good, man. Right now, I'll let all y'all know. Normally, I'll just let it out, but I got my kids in the background, so I'm trying to watch what I'm saying.
Yeah, my bad. But anyway,
no,
you know what I mean.
Bro, you're good. They can't hear you, so.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying. That's a big man. That is a athletic linebacker at running back. You know what I'm saying? Like, respect him.
Yeah, and then
Wildcat play.
Yeah. And then we had Spears and Henry in there at the same time too, and we got like a 7 or 8 yard gain. That was the person we were talking about in the last few episodes.
I thought it was so cool to see Big Jeff come in on offense. You know, like that.
Yeah.
Did we not call that, bro?
I've been screaming that.
I can't wait to see the clips of Henry because he was in the air and threw it. You know what I mean? That's going to be a great picture, dude.
Yeah.
It's going to be an amazing picture.
So, real quick, guys, in the comments, Pongo says refs and flags are our biggest issue. Horribly, sorry. I don't know where I got that. Horrible calls, but flags we could have avoided, which at times have cost us the game. So, I'm going to kind of talk about this for a second, and I want to refer back to yesterday's podcast with Ryan Harris, and I have to kind of agree with him on for the most part of this is, yeah, there's some bad flags being thrown, like, you know, week 1 that was a fumble, that was, you know, his arm, the ball was out of his arm before his arm was moving forward, his fingertips, the ball was already off his fingertips as he was pushing his arm forward, you know. So, but Here's what Ryan Harris said. You know, fans who are sitting here putting the blame on the refs and saying, "Hey, these refs are costing us the game." You know, really, like, look at what you're watching. You know, because even if they called the game and they got your play call right, do you really think, like, in week 1, like, if they had to turn that over, do you really think that Tannehill would have been able to drive that ball all the way back down the field and put up points? No, I don't. That's how good the Saints defense were, you know, and to our credit, you know, this game, of course, we didn't have to worry about that because, you know, the offense was, you know, moving and working efficiently against this Bengals defense. So, you know, we really didn't have to worry about that. But, you know, you should be able to win a game no matter what, you know, flag is thrown against you, you know. And that's the type of team I want. Like, I want the type of, like, Titans team to where if we get a 15-yard penalty, boom, we got it right back, you know. Because that's the type of teams that go out here and win you championships. So, you know, and then your brother also said, I'm trying to get that $30 from Ryan Harris, ha 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 ha. So, you know, y'all want to kind of talk about that real quick?
As far as the refereeing goes, you know, I'm in the middle with that too. I used to feel like it was the reason we would lose it, or I used to use that as an excuse. I'll be 100% honest. You know, there was a couple of games last season and the season before. My excuse was, oh, the refs are the reason we lost this game. You know, 100%. I will own up to that. But looking back at it, man, you know, Ryan made a great point, and you do as well. It doesn't necessarily decide how the game through 4 quarters or through overtime or whatever, but it, in my opinion, those controversial calls or missed calls dictate certain situations in the game that could affect the outcome of it. I
agree with that.
Yeah, that's my take on that, for sure.
Definitely. And then, guys, real quick, I want to take the time just to thank everybody for watching us live right now on YouTube and Facebook. Guys, if you're not yet already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take this time to hit the subscribe button, as well as turn on all notifications to get the latest from What's Shaking Titans. Give us a big old like. That will help us out with the YouTube algorithm. That way more people get to see our video. We'll pop up more often. And then if you're watching us live right now on Facebook, guys, we want to give you all a huge shout out. Definitely take the time to share us out to all your friends, to all your groups, the more you share us out, the more people get to see us and know about us. Sharing is caring, guys. So definitely want to give y'all a huge shout out. So with all that being said, I'm going to kind of toss this over. I'm going to bring up a image here, a graphic here, and it's for Titans superfan Blueface. So Blueface, you want to kind of talk about what you're in and the whole 9 yards and how people can vote for you to actually become Titans superfan of the year.
Yeah. Last day to vote is tomorrow at midnight. So all the nominations have to be put in by then, and then everything will go over to the finalists. There's a link and everything right there in the picture. All my information on there, my date of birth, any information you need to nominate me for fan of the year. After Monday, everything goes to the judges, and they do their little scoring. It's done by certain percentages, certain things that go into it. But they'll do their scoring and stuff, and then November 7th will be the final day for the judging, and then we'll know who the finalists are. And then you guys will be able to vote for me as not only Titan Super Fan of the Year, but you guys will be able to vote for me as NFL Fan of the Year. If I do win that, whoever wins, Titans Fan of the Year, I hope that they go all the way, and then, NFL Fan of the Year, of course. But yeah, dude, just to end it off, man, it's been a huge honor just being, recommended, just mentioned in that topic, with some great names, some great guys who have been with this organization a long time. So it's been a super huge privilege, man, and I've appreciated all the love and support that I've got from it. It's went way farther than I ever thought it would, and it just keeps growing. So man, it's an amazing feeling, and I love being Blueface, man. For everybody, man. I think it brings enjoyment to people, and I bring a different type of energy to this stadium when I go. And people have noticed that, and people are noticing me. Like I said, man, it's just went farther than I ever imagined that it could have, and it's a huge honor to be mentioned in the topic for Titans Fan of the Year. So, yeah, if you guys think I'd be a great representation for the Titans, like I said, man, all the information's right there in the graphic, my name, my birthday, my email. You guys can go on over to NFL.com/fan-of-the-year/honors and find me there as well. There should be a link up there too. And like I said, tomorrow at midnight is the last day to nominate. So y'all go get your nominations in for Blueface. Tighten up.
Let's go. Y'all go nominate my brother.
Yeah. So, guys, real quick, definitely take the time to go over there, check that out. Want to give a kind of a shout out here to all of our different platforms that we have. You can actually go check out the official What's Shaking Titans website that we have. You just click in the descriptions below. We have links to all of our pages, our like I said, our website, our Facebook page, our Twix page, aka Twitter X. We got Instagram, we got Spotify. Definitely go check us out. Give us a follow on all of our platforms. And if you have a hard time copying or getting that link to the NFL honors off of the podcast page, definitely go to our website. You can scroll down. You'll see a section there where it has a link in it. You just click the link and it will take you straight to it. Definitely go over, give Blueface a vote for that, guys. We definitely appreciate it. Real quick, man. Let's get into our final thoughts here of this game, and then we're gonna end this show, and we'll catch y'all live every Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So, Massey, man, what's your final thoughts here? Take it away, brother.
Hey, boys, what a game. What a win by the Tennessee Titans. Let's carry this on. Let's carry this momentum into the next game. Every game after that. Let's make a run for it, man. Keep on keeping on with the execution. Great play calling. Tighten up, boys.
Tighten up. All right, how about you? How about you, Mr. Maxey?
Yeah, man. Great game, like Massey just said. Just an amazing game. All the buts, ifs, and ands, and could-have. We're gonna put those all to the side. We got the W today, man. We're 2-0 at home, man. Nobody wants to see us in Nashville. I'm telling you now, you don't want to see us in Nashville. This home crowd's dangerous, man. We come in pairs, man. We come loud and proud. So it was awesome energy in there today, man. By everybody. There was some Bengals fans that were standing at one point. It was 24 to 3 or whatever it was at the time, and they're still standing. And they just wouldn't sit down. this old guy's like, "Yo, what are you standing for? There's nothing to even cheer about. You guys suck." And then they sat down and left. And I was like, "Oh crap," But besides that, man, everybody, I'm sure he was just having a good time too, just messing with them. But it was just all the ifs, ands, and buts are gone, bro, and you got the W. That's all that matters.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Talk about it. So, guys, like I said, we definitely want to just take the time to thank everybody for watching us live today in our post-game coverage of the Tennessee Titans versus the Boston Bobcats here. Titans throttled the Bobcats. So, guys, like I said, thank you. As we always say when we get out of here, take care, have a great day, and
Tighten up!
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have it douse, not what I'm about, have your cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
You don't wanna fuck with me. A slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
Anything negative, cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big boss, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase it? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up shit, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise.
You don't